This video will show you about the leaders of the new government. The leaders of the new government were George Washington, John Marshall, Thomas Jefferson, Alexander Hamilton, John Adams, and James Madison. This movie was brought to you by Jared and Chandler Productions.
George Washington served as the President of the United States for 2 terms. When he was President, he set the standards. Before he was President, he was the Commander-in-Chief of the Continental Army.
John Marshall was a Federalist, so he wanted to strengthen the federal government. He was also the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. After George Washington died, John Marshall wrote a biography about his life.
Thomas Jefferson was the author of the Declaration of Independence. He started the Democratic Party, then he became the first president of his group.
Washington named Alexander Secretary of Treasury. Alexander also served Washington during war. Hamilton suggested a series of laws for the new nation. Alexander was involved in getting Washington, D.C. in its present location.
In the Revolutionary War, John Adams served in the Continental Congress. He also negotiated alliances with other countries. He was the vice president for George Washington, but then he became the president.
James Madison served in the first United States Congress. James also was a major author of the Constitution. James also wrote the amendments that later became the Bill of Rights. James was elected the 4th president.
George Washington and Thomas Jefferson both served as president. Thomas Jefferson was a Democrat and started the Democratic Party. George Washington and Thomas Jefferson both did their part in the Revolutionary War so America could be its own country.
John Marshall and James Madison have a few things in common, but a few things different. Something different about them both is James Madison was an anti-federalist, but John Marshall was a Federalist. Something in common is they both wrote something. John Marshall wrote a biography on George Washington, and James Madison wrote the amendments that became the Bill of Rights.